Well, like, so this is one of the videos that I do from time to time where I kind of just share my opinion on things, and I pull up some articles that I've seen in the past in case I need to either further back my point, or I need to remind myself of what I'm talking about, because I have got a mind like a sieve for the most part. But something happened to me today that made me feel genuinely quite good inside, and it's the reason that I've decided to make this video tonight. I have no idea how this video is going to end. I genuinely don't have a final point to make. I need to state that now. And this is genuinely just to anybody who subscribed to me that may be interested in what I have to say. So obviously, to anyone that's been subscribed to me for a long time, and I know that I've only got like 18, 17 subscribers, something like that, but for a long period of time I had about 10 subscribers. It's only in the last couple of weeks that that number's increased. So for anybody that's been subscribed to me that happens to watch the videos that I put out, they'll be aware that I lost my job a couple of weeks ago. So since that point in time, money has been something I've had to ration. Normally, what I would do after work on a Friday, because I got paid weekly, is I would get dropped off by the guy that drove the van. I'd get dropped off at my local Tesco's, which is quite close to my house, and what I would do is I'd go in and buy 40 fags and my beer or whatever the fuck for the weekend, so I didn't have to go in later on that night or throughout the weekend. You know, I have my cigarettes. Obviously, since I've been, I may I say, unlawfully paid off, I've had to ration my money somewhat. Sorry, let's finish this fuck. Anyway, but so obviously, as I said, I've had to ration my money. So what I've been doing as of late is buying tobacco to make up for the money. But I got my holiday paid today, which I was due anyway. So I decided I was going to do what I normally do, and then go in and buy my 40 fags. So as I went to Tesco's, there was two women standing out front that you look like your generic, you know, charity collectors. But one of them approached me and handed me a list of things that if I had the spare change to just buy one of the things that was on that list, because it was going towards a food bank. And for some reason, at that point, something just clicked in my head that I decided to I wasn't going to spend my money on fags. I was going to go in and I was going to spend a whole £20 on stuff that was on this list. Now, stuff that was on this list included, you know, just shower gels, biscuits, tin soup, pastas, just stuff, you know, your generic stuff to put in a food bank. So as I walked around the shop, I picked up 5 or 6 of each item and paid for it, and I walked out, handed it all to them, and as I walked away I felt very good about myself. And the woman said to me as I handed it to her, she appreciated me doing this because I'm only an accident or a financial inconvenience away from ending up in this position. And as I walked away after her saying that to me, I started to think more and more about how there's plenty of people in this world that are a lot worse off than me. And that's the whole reason for me making this video now. As you can see in this screen, I've got the UK's #1 dickhead, Jeremy Kyle. Now, Jeremy Kyle's renowned for his exploitation of the poor and the lowest of the low. And you'll hear time and time again people watching this show, and they'll always say that it makes them feel better about their life after seeing people on this show. But as that woman said to me, you're only an accident or a financial inconvenience away from being in the position that they're in. And that's the whole reason I wanted to make this video. We have stuff like death has become a part of Britain's benefit system. More than 80 people a month are now dying after being declared fit for work. The safety net that used to be there for the most vulnerable has been torn into shreds. We have the Tories, who are obviously in power at the moment in the UK, and they continuously cut benefits. But to normalise this cuts of benefits and to make you accepting to that fact, they'll pump out, this arsehole will pump out multiple different stories on this morning or the BBC News of people that are exploiting the benefit system, and then they tar everybody under that same brush and make you think it's acceptable to cut these benefits off people, as I mentioned briefly in the video I made the other day called free movement of people versus exploitation. But you don't realise until you're actually in the position they are in how hard life can be. And it just got me thinking, to be honest, because every single person that's born in this world has the same, should have the same rights as everybody else, whether it be free accessible water, you should have free education, and you should have a reasonable standard of living, a free house, and access to edible food. But so many people don't. Now, don't get it twisted. I know there's a lot of people that do themselves no favours, but at the end of the day, there's many that don't, and they all seem to get tarred under the same brush. And I just thought to myself, when I was spending that money on food for a food bank, that there's people out there that genuinely need to use a food bank. We live in Britain. This shouldn't be happening. You know what I mean? I could understand, and I know it sounds horrible to say, but I could understand if I was paying for food that was going to get shipped across to some poor country, but this is Britain, and people still need to use food banks. People are in severe poverty, and the MPs and the government are more concerned about their own financial interests and interest within other countries to take a step back and realise the damage is happening within their country. Now, I said in a previous video that I had an extended family member that was on benefits. That wasn't strictly true. It's not an extended family member, it's my mother. And fair enough, we're not at rock bottom because my grandfather is financially, he's pretty well off, so he's helped me and my mother out over the years. But it's always just been me and my mother used to work, but she's got chronic arthritis now. She's on £110 a week, and the Tories want to cut that to £70 a week. And nobody seems to care that this is happening to disabled people because they're seeing Jeremy Kyle, they're seeing multiple different stories from multiple different news revenues producing the same shit, suggesting that everybody's exploiting the benefit system, and it's not the case at all. It's disgusting that anybody should be living the way they are if they're poor. I mean, it should not be the case at all. I mean, I'll give you an example. Say for example, England and Scotland, right? And we'll say that England was incredibly wealthy and Scotland was incredibly poor. Okay, the poorest of the poor, and England being the wealthiest of the wealthy. What gives the child that's born in the poor Scotland? What differentiates their rights? The child that's born in the richest of the richest, being England, and an invisible line separates that border. And across that border, a child is born in the poorest of the poorest, being Scotland in this example. So one child gets the free education, the best healthcare, the
the free water at the house, even though it's not free, the house, the food, but across the invisible line, less than 100 miles away, somebody has the worst standards of living. I think it's disgusting. There should be rules implemented worldwide that people should have at least access to free water, access to free electricity, access to a house, access to food, access to live. If you don't have money, you can't live in your own world. The world that you were born into. The country you're born differentiates whether or not you're going to be poor or rich. The country you're born differentiates whether or not you're going to make it in life or fail. The country that you're born differentiates your nationality, etc, etc, etc. And I'm not trying to sound like a socialist. I do not believe that somebody that works as a fucking banker should get the same money that somebody as a cleaner gets. But what I'm trying to say is everybody should be entitled to a reasonable standard of living. And with that reasonable standard of living, you can then make of it what you will. Benefit cuts happen continuously, and it's been happening for a long time. And the suicide rates have gone down, as far as I'm aware, in the last 2 years, but they were on the rise for years because of benefit cuts. And me myself, I was in the job centre like 2 years ago, and they were going to sanction me, and that would have meant I had no income for a month. And that's okay if you've got financial support on the ready, but what happens if you live by yourself? Nobody seems to realise this. People that live their happy, lovey-dovey life, they don't realise the bullshit that happens beneath the seams. The same thing applies in America. Everybody lives their life the way they're living it, and they don't take any consideration for the poor. I've seen poverty firsthand since I was a child, and as I said, yes, we've had the support of my grandfather, he's not like a millionaire, but he's been able to support us financially. But there's people that don't even have that. No one should die penniless and alone. The victims of Britain's harsh welfare sanctions. David Clapson was found dead last year after his benefits were stopped on the grounds that he wasn't taking the search for work seriously. He had an empty stomach and just 344 to his name. Now thousands of other claimants are being left in similar dire straits by tough new welfare sanctions. And as I said, I was at the job centre 2 years ago, and they make you do 35 hours a week. You have to search for your work 35 hours a week. You have to write down everything you do. You have to provide proof that you've spent 35 hours a week. You have to provide proof that you've applied for all the jobs that you may or may not write down that you have, and you have to do all the things that are obligated for you to do, or you will be sanctioned. And it leads to horrible stories like this. It's horrible, isn't it? People are born into this world. You're born into this world, and then somebody across the globe is born into this world, but where you're born differentiates whether or not you have a better life or they have a better life than you, or vice versa. And it's not right. It's not right at all. David Clapson was actively searching for work when he died because of a pile of CVs he had just printed out was found a few metres from his body. The last time he spoke to his sister, a few days before he died, he told her he was waiting to hear back about an application he had made to the supermarket chain Lidl. But officials at the job centre believed he was not taking his search for work seriously enough, and early last July they sanctioned him, cutting off his benefit payments entirely as a punishment for his failure to attend 2 appointments. Clapson, 59, who had diabetes, died in his flat on 20th of July 2013 from diabetic ketoacidosis or whatever. Sorry, I don't know what the fuck that is. Caused by an acute lack of insulin. When Jill Thompson, his younger sister, discovered his body, she found his electricity had been cut off, meaning that the fridge where he kept his insulin was no longer working. There was very little left to eat: 6 tea bags, an out-of-date tin of sardines, and a can of tomato soup. His pay-as-you-go mobile phone had just 5p credit left, and on it he only had $3.44 in his bank account. The autopsy notes revealed that his stomach was empty. Does that not make your stomach churn? Because it makes mine. And today when I went to the Tesco's, as I said, I got a reminder to how blessed I am to be where I am, even though my life's pretty damn fucking shit at the moment. This is no way for anybody to be living in Britain. Great Britain, as they say, aye. Is it really though? Austerity cuts are causing mental distress and are linked to rise in suicides. Sorry, pardon. But for government cuts, Mark Wood, a mentally ill man, might not have died. And with suicide rates continuing to rise, austerity measures are costing more minds and lives every day. Mary O'Hara wonders why the system doesn't care, but that's the problem, the system doesn't care. Mark Wood was found dead in his home in August 2013. It could have just been another tragic but private event for family, but it wasn't. His death came a few months after his disability benefits had been cut because he had been declared fit for work by the assessors appointed by the government to implement his back to work strategy. That in itself is completely controversial. It's disgusting. They're finding cancer sufferers fit for work. It's just so wrong. But I don't want to digress into the disability side of things. I'm just saying, one sanction. If you have no financial support, one benefit sanction, and that is it. Your life goes into turmoil. You can't afford to pay the gas. You can't afford to pay. You can't afford to pay for water. You can't afford to pay for food because you have to pay for one, but you can't pay for them all. And that's no way for anybody to live. Suicide rates is disgusting. When his body was discovered, he weighed just 5 stone, sorry. Fuck me, my head is buckled. His doctor said his body mass index was not compatible with life. His sister Kathy said that the 4-year-old Wood has struggled to live on just £40 a week, man. After his disability and housing benefits were cut. She says that his ongoing mental health problems, including anxiety, obsessive traits and an eating disorder, were seriously aggravated by the stress. I've got an anxiety disorder myself, to an extent. It's more a social anxiety disorder. I'm not good with talking to people. I can't even look at replies on my Facebook or my YouTube unless I've had a bit to drink, just for that Dutch courage. But to see stories like that with other people suffering from the same sort of stuff and they're suffering as bad as they do is disgusting. And the government, this is proof that the government don't give a fuck about you, they don't give a fuck about me, they don't give a fuck about any of us. They're happy to cut every benefit under the sun and raise the taxes for more profit. George Osborne. Oh, the demon reincarnated as a coke-sniffing dickhead. This is disgusting. This is disgusting, these stories. More than 80 suicide cases directly linked to coalition cuts, claim disability campaigners. The Black Triangle campaign found more than 80 cases since 2010 and believe even more will suffer and die if David Cameron wins the election. This was the 4th of May 2015. There's been multiple different suicides since then. My point is that multiple people are taking their own lives because they get sanctioned and they're living off the bones of their arse and they're having to resort to fucking food banks. So wrong. It's so wrong. thousands have died after being found fit for work. Yeah, because they can get a job after they've been found fit for work. I mean, let's be serious. If a chronic arthritic woman like my mother applied for a receptionist job, and a 17 or 18-year-old perfectly healthy woman applied for the same job, who's that employer gonna take? But no, they cut your benefits, Mrs. Arthritic, because you're not applying yourself. I've gone off on a tangent to an extent. I just wanted to ramble slightly. Whether or not this video speaks to whoever may listen, that's a different matter entirely, but I'm going to upload it anyway because I may listen back to this one day. As I said, that woman today at the Tesco's looking for stuff for the food banks, it really got to me, to be honest. The fact that there's people in this country that need to use food banks, but yet our country pumps out billions of foreign aid a year. And don't get me wrong, as I said, every single person on this entire planet has as much right to be here as the next person, but I have to go into Tesco's and buy some stuff to go to food banks, while our government pumps out billions to other countries. Our government doesn't care about us. Not that you need me to tell you that, it's pretty apparent. But anyway, I don't know if this video's worth uploading, but I think I'm going to anyway, just to show face to my subscribers, if not anything else. I hope you can do some research to see for yourself the pain and the suffering that can happen to people in Britain when their benefits are cut or they're born into poverty, because you may have a job, you may not have a job, or you may have financial support, or you may have a lot of family around you, but you've got to take into consideration there's plenty of people that don't, and this cretin right here is happy to exploit those people for propagandized agendas. Peace.